Hey guys, this is actually one of my favorite scenic vantage points in the city of Denver. And I just wanted to point out that there are a couple cranes in the background behind me. A couple, let's see. If we look that way, you can see like off in the distance there's a couple cranes in the skyline building new stuff. There's one right there, you know. This is pretty much the intersection of Colfax and Federal. Anyways, you get a really good look at the stadium, really good look at the skyline downtown. It's just a really great vantage point to take pictures from. There's a couple in the city that really show the skyline, but I came out here to do this video, and then I realized it's a little loud out there. So, you're going to get the rest of this video from inside of my truck. But anyways, I just wanted to show that, yeah, there's a lot of new construction happening in the city of Denver as far as giant, high-rise, just living spaces. There's some of them have affordable housing written into their permits to build. You know, like the Denver City Council has recognized that affordable housing is a huge issue. And right now, housing is a bit untenable in the city, in the whole metro area, not just Denver, but all the surrounding cities around Denver. The influx of people into Colorado has been massive, you know. And it's made housing values skyrocket. And the problem with that is, for me, personally, I can't move. Like, yeah, the place that I'm living is worth a ton of money, but were I to sell it, I can't afford anything anywhere in that Denver skyline. I can't afford anything in the surrounding area. And this is where I work. This is where I make my money, my bread and butter. And I'm in a behavioral field where it takes people, you know, to have clients. You have to be around people. And so, yeah, cop just went by. Yeah, I have to be around a large population in order to have a job. In rural areas, there are just no counselors, you know. And what I'm seeing is, yeah, I might want to move to a place with a bigger backyard and a bigger front yard, maybe some acreage, you know. It'd be nice, but then my commute to the points where I would be able to be gainfully employed would be a significant amount of my day. Misty right now, she has to drive an hour to work and an hour back, you know, and that sucks. And I drive pretty much like, if it's a low traffic part of the day, it's like 20 minutes. But if it's rush hour, it can be over an hour, you know. And, you know, you kind of want to live and work close to each other. You don't want this giant commute in your life. It just sucks the life out of you. Yeah, you could listen to podcasts and try to relax while you're driving, but it's really hard to relax in traffic. You know, it's not very good self-care. But there's another part of this housing problem that I've found very untenable. So along with housing values skyrocketing to the point where people can't afford the mortgage, like anyone who's a blue collar to even like halfway to white collar cannot afford a mortgage in my city, rents have gone up as well. So rent for a no-bedroom flat where it's basically one room with like a little kitchenette and a little closet for a bathroom, rent for one of those can be anywhere from like $1,200 to $1,500 a month right now. Yeah, there are people who are renting for basically the whole paycheck of a job. You know, you'd have to have 3 or 4 jobs just to make ends meet if you were just working fast food or minimum wage. And I'm not saying any opinions about minimum wage and what it should be hiked to or anything in this video. I have very nuanced opinions on it, but I'll say that it's not going to, you could raise minimum wage beyond like the 15 an hour that a lot of politicians that are on the more liberal side are saying. You could raise it to 25 an hour, more in line with the wages that I might be able to make right now. And people still couldn't afford to live on their own, right? So right now, in my family, making the money, there's me and Misty, right? And we're just barely a 6-figure income. Did my taxes and realized it, and I was like, wow, we're actually, getting there. We're living the dream, right? And no, I might have enough money to take a day off from work and drive to go see some random event like a court case that I'm interested in one day. But I don't have enough money to move. Like, I would like to move into a larger house or a place closer to work or something. I have nowhere near the money it would take to do that. Nowhere near. Yeah. Basically, I'd be trying to look for a home that was almost $500,000. And it hurts me because I saw a completely different economy of housing 10 years ago that I did not get into. Like when the housing bubble popped and all the house values crashed, I should have made my move and made a really good one, but I didn't. And so now I find myself hoping for the complete implosion of the American real estate economy. I'm hoping for housing values to just go rock bottom. I'm hoping because they could be halved right now, and I still wouldn't properly be able to afford to move to any better place, And it makes me sick, I've looked around as far as what kind of job I have for the education level that I have, and I'm pretty much in the best paying job in the whole city for my education level, right? And I'm going back to school because anything better, it's going to require me to have a graduate degree. And even then, it's only going to add another 10 to 20,000 to the amount that I'm able to make working for any company, right? Even if I went back to the trades, I went back to being an electrician, I could not do much better than that. And it's not enough. it really isn't enough if you want to try to afford things that used to be affordable just 10 years ago. I don't know whether to chalk it up to the greed of the people who own real estate, like the mass greed of everyone who owns real estate. I don't know. Is it the banks that are giving loans to people for homes without like helping them negotiate down prices, and they're allowing prices to be inflated? I don't know what it is. What I feel is the pinch, right? Now we're 10 minutes into this video, and I want to talk about the rental side of things and how it really affects me on a daily basis as a kind of a trauma that you get by interacting with people that need help, right? This is like a compassion fatigue that I'm going through, right? So part of my job is to sell people on the idea of going to a treatment program, right? I'm trying to get them to get their lives together, better themselves, enter that treatment program. And there are a couple treatment programs around Denver that will allow people to stay there for a couple months, go out, get a job, and then, you work your job, you come back to the treatment facility, do a couple of group therapies, maybe a couple support groups, a couple 12-step groups will come in, whatnot. You go to sleep, go back to work, go to therapy, go to sleep, rinse, wash, repeat, right? And the amount of time that some of them allow people to stay in the programs can range from, say, as little as a month or two to 6 months, right? So they can save up their money. Let's say they completely ruined their lives for a couple years. They were homeless for a while, and they were just drinking their lives away. And they decided that they want to get back up on their feet and start being productive and members of society, and they want to, clean up their life. Well, are they going to work at Burger King for maybe $12 an hour, I think is the last quote I heard on that? Or the best job I've been able to get people that's felon-friendly was pretty much walk-on. You can get $18 an hour at the King Soopers distribution center or the Amazon distribution center, Pretty much that's about as good as they can get, right? So with all their other expenses of just living, plus some of these treatment programs do charge them, just a little nominal fee for staying in their program. Sometimes it's not a lot. Sometimes it's a good chunk, Sober living is the cheapest rent you can find in all of Denver. It's sober living homes that are, sometimes $600 to $800 a month to live in a room with other guys in like a bunk bed and having your own wall locker. So if they're paying like $800 a month staying in this sober living place, trying to save up to have first month's rent, last month's rent, and a deposit on a place that, by the time they get out of treatment, it could be, they can't find anything, cheaper than $1,200 to $1,500 a month. Any responsible apartment manager is going to look at their income and say, well, this is going to be more than a third of what you make at your job. You shouldn't move into here, But there aren't a lot of responsible apartment managers here. There's a lot of people that are sucking a lot of poor people dry to the point where they maybe have $50 left over of their pay each month to do anything with because they pay so much for rent and utilities and food, And for those people that I try to get them to go into a program that's only going to help them for 1 or 2 months of living free, and then they have to transition to like a sober living or something. That's just not enough time to save up, because living is too expensive. To go from, walking the streets and just flying a sign asking for people for spare change for a beer, to wanting to actually start working and getting into an apartment, there is no answer. There is no program that is long enough to help people get back up on their feet. And it's killing me. I feel what they go through every day. People packed like sardines into cramped living spaces just to try to make it in this world. And once they do get to that point, it's hard for them to get to the next step. It's damn near impossible. It's hard to transition the first step, just getting into a treatment program. Some of the wait lists on these things are like 2 to 6 months. And then once they get there, they get stuck because everything costs too damn much. And I see 20 cranes around town building these high-rise apartments. Not fast enough. Not fast enough at all. It's just not livable. Anyways, I'm just in Denver. I've heard the horror stories about New York and LA, but I feel like I go through it on my own level, and then I go through it on their level, like, so much. That's what I wanted to talk about today. Thank you, Paul, for having me jump in to help out Nate. He said something like Nate's making so much art that he's trying to break his finger or something for the next month or so. So I'll make a couple videos and help keep this Breakfast Club going, because it's my go-to show. Subscribe, everyone. Sub-fucking-scribe. Talk to you guys next week.